For 300 cycles, the Dragon Queen Asherix had ruled the Draconian dominion with fire, fear, and absolute certainty. Entire star systems fell silent when her fleets passed. Her roar alone could fracture asteroids. Her will bent empires. And yet, in the crystalline throne hall of the Eternal Pyre, her voice trembled. "My son." The word barely carried across the vast chamber, yet every dragon noble froze. Conversations died. Wings stilled. Golden eyes widened in disbelief. No one had heard that tone from their queen, not when worlds burned, not when rebellions rose, not even when her heir vanished 20 years ago in the Void Fire War. At the far end of the hall, a small figure walked forward. A human child. Barely 12 cycles old. Grease-stained coveralls. Sleeves rolled up. A tool belt hanging crooked at his waist. He looked wildly out of place beneath vaulted ceilings carved from star crystal and surrounded by dragons large enough to crush tanks beneath a claw. Eli Carter paused, wiped his hands on his pants, and glanced up at the towering monarch. Your Majesty," he said politely. "I think I found him." A low, dangerous rumble rippled through the chamber. Several dragon commanders shifted, claws scraping stone. One step closer and the child would be ash. Queen Asherix descended from her throne, each step shaking the floor. Her wings folded slowly, deliberately, until her massive head lowered, one enormous molten gold eye leveling with the boy. "You speak of my son lightly, human," she said, heat rolling from her breath. "Explain." "Carefully." Eli nodded, unfazed. He tapped a cracked datapad to life. "I was doing maintenance in Dock Bay 17. Fixing a recurring plasma feedback issue on the Infernal Crown. By the way, your thermal routing is inefficient," when I noticed something weird. A collective hiss swept the hall. The child, criticized dragon engineering. Eli scrolled. "There's a sealed object hidden behind the reactor shielding. Stealth casing. Not draconian. Masked as background radiation. Been there a long time." General Kryth stepped forward, furious. "Impossible. We have scanned every vessel." Eli shrugged. "Yeah, but you scan for threats. I look for things that don't belong." Silence fell heavier than any roar. Queen Asherix's eye narrowed. "What is inside this object?" Eli hesitated, just for a moment. Then he looked straight at her. A stasis pod. One living occupant. Royal genetic signature. The Dragon Queen inhaled sharply, the throne hall erupted. Roars of rage. Cries of disbelief. Wings flared. Fire danced along the walls until Queen Asherix slammed her tail against the floor, the sound cracking crystal and restoring silence instantly. "Where," she demanded, grief and fury entwined in one word. "Dock Bay 17, Eli said. Behind the reactor shield. Whoever hid it knew your scanners wouldn't see it." Commander Vyrex's voice shook. "The Shadow Weavers, the Valkyrie." Eli nodded eagerly. "Exactly. They specialize in long-term stasis capture. Don't kill high-value targets, preserve them." He zoomed the datapad display. Molecular decay curves, energy harmonics, life sign stability. Your scouts found wreckage after the Void Fire War because it was planted. Real debris. Fake conclusion. The pod's been riding your fleet ever since. Asherix's massive claws trembled. 20 years of mourning. 20 years of rage. And all this time. "Can he be freed?" she whispered. Eli's expression turned serious, far older than his years. "Yes. But not by brute force." He swallowed. Valkyrie stasis pods are booby-trapped. 37-step shutdown sequence. One mistake and it terminates the occupant. General Kryth recoiled. "You accessed Valkyrie systems?" Eli scratched his head. Yeah. Your captured Valkyrie scout ship had an unsecured auxiliary port. Took me 3 weeks. Learned a lot. Several dragons stared at him in stunned horror. Queen Azherix lowered her head fully now, her fiery gaze softening. Human child, can you bring my son home? Eli met her eyes without fear. I can, he said. But I'll need your best medbay, immediate medical support, and uninterrupted access. Then he grinned. And maybe some of those spicy fire fruits. I focus better when I'm not hungry. A startled laugh rippled through the hall. The dragon queen straightened, something ancient and fragile shining in her eyes. Then lead us. For the first time in decades, she moved with urgency, not toward war, but toward hope. The medical bay glowed white-hot with energy as Eli worked. Dragons watched in silent awe as small human hands danced across alien interfaces. He rerouted power flows, disabled kill safes, and spoke softly to himself, counting steps under his breath. Step 23, yep, there you are. Queen Azherix stood immobile, claws dug into the floor. When the pod finally opened, steam hissed outward. Inside lay Prince Valthar. Alive. His eyes fluttered open for the first time in 20 years. A sound broke from the dragon queen, a raw, keening cry of joy and grief as she pressed her forehead gently to her son's. Tears like molten gold fell freely. Eli checked vitals, adjusted monitors, then nodded. He's stable. Weak, but stable. General Kryth exhaled shakily. A child succeeded where an empire failed. Commander Serix watched Eli work and spoke quietly. Humans do not rule with fire, but with attention. Queen Azherix turned to the boy. Eli Carter, she said solemnly. You have returned my son. The Draconian Dominion is forever in humanity's debt. Eli smiled sheepishly. Just doing my job, ma'am. As the prince slept safely, the dragons looked upon the human child with something new. Not pity. Not curiosity. Respect. Later, as the fleet prepared to depart, Queen Azherix watched Eli walk the corridor, already talking about inefficiencies in plasma couplings. A child mechanic, General Kryth muttered. He saw what we could not. Because, the queen replied softly, we look for power. Humans look for purpose. She gazed into the stars. They find hope where others see wreckage. The galaxy would remember this day, not for dragon fire or royal decree, but for a small human child who fixed what pride had overlooked. And that was far more frightening.